Hey there! Today I wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite Christmas movie, Krampus. No, seriously, this is unironically my favorite Christmas movie. And you might be thinking, okay, why? Well, let me tell you a little bit about this movie. So this movie follows the story of Max and his family. This includes his mom, Sarah, his dad, Tom, his grandmother, Omi, and his sister, Beth. And Max's Aunt Linda comes to visit for the holiday and brings her family too. This involves his Uncle Howard, his cousins Stevie and Jordan, and Howie Jr. And they also bring along their Aunt Dorothy, who's just kind of there to nag about the decorations and how good the food is. And Max also has a little baby cousin who doesn't really have too many lines. She doesn't really do anything really, because she's a baby. And the story just focuses on this family pretty much the entire movie. The only other characters are like the occasional extras like at the beginning and just a couple of times throughout the movie. And the setting is the family home, again, pretty much the entire time of the movie. Now the movie starts with showing the typical chaos the holiday season brings. People are fighting in stores, people are spending money that they don't have, but most importantly, Max is fighting with another kid while in the nativity play. And during that same night, Max's aunt, uncle, and cousins come to visit for the holiday. And this is when his cousins find his letter to Santa, and they start reading it to the entire table. And instead of anyone stopping them or anything, they kind of just let it happen, and everyone just listens. And obviously upset, Max starts fighting with his cousins. He takes the letter, tears it up, and throws it out the window, which I guess he shouldn't have done, because this is where everything just starts to turn bad for the movie. So the next day, it's storming pretty bad. The family is stuck inside from the snowstorm with no heat, no electricity, and no water. So Beth, Max's sister, wants to go walk a few blocks to check on her boyfriend. Doesn't she know Krampus is out there? Obviously not, because Krampus snatches her up. So Max's dad, Tom, is like, okay, we need to go find Beth. It's dark outside and she's still not home. So him and Uncle Howard go to the boyfriend's house to try and find Beth. But the boyfriend's house has been completely destroyed and ransacked. The only clues left in this house are a stabbed gingerbread man, a busted fireplace, and hoof prints on the ground. And after getting back to the house, the family is in a panic. They're trying to make a plan. This is finally when Omi speaks up, and she wants to tell her own story with Krampus. She's basically like, hey, Krampus is here because you guys are awful. She doesn't say that, but she does share her story. And basically, when she was a kid, she made a wish for her family to go away on Christmas. So Krampus came and gave her that wish and took away her family. So all she was left with was a bell with Krampus's name on it as a reminder. So at this point in the movie, Krampus and his minions come into the house to pick everybody off one by one. And as that's happening, Max tries to find Krampus to talk to him. And when he gets to talk to him, Max is given a bell similar to the one that Omi had received by Krampus. Max begs Krampus to give back his family and to take him instead. And Krampus's reaction to that is to throw him into a fiery hole. And I'm not joking, it's literally a hole of fire in the ground going to the underworld. But after he gets thrown in, he wakes up and it's Christmas Day. He goes to his advent calendar and it says 25. His family is downstairs waiting for him and everything is good. Everybody's happy. It's like nothing even happened. And the family is unwrapping all of their presents and Max unwraps one of his. And he unwraps the bell that was given to him by Krampus. Now I've barely covered some of the best parts of this movie. I just wanted to review some of the highlights just so that we could begin to break some of it down. I want to talk a little bit about the legend of Krampus. Krampus is a Central European legend that was believed to originate in Germany. He's known as a half-goat, half-demon monster that punishes children at Christmas time. He's essentially the shadow of St. Nicholas, but some legends say that Krampus and St. Nicholas would travel together, where St. Nick would reward the good children with gifts and presents, and Krampus would punish the bad children by beatings with branches and sticks. And one part of the legend is Krampus is sometimes known to lick children. They do have some weird stuff in this movie when it comes to his tongue, and honestly, tongues in general. Anyways, my first introduction to Krampus was through this movie, and now it's just such a fascinating idea to me. Especially the design of the character in this movie. If you watch the behind the scenes footage of them putting the costume together, it is so intricate and complex the way that the costume works. And a lot of people love Krampus and celebrating him. There's even an event in Austria called the Krampus Run or Krampuslauf, where people dress as Krampus and they'll run through the streets whipping people and handing out alcohol. It's just so cool to me to see a character or like a legend like this being celebrated like that. And now to dive deeper a little bit into the movie, I want to talk about Krampus's helpers. To start out, one of the things that are most similar to St. Nicholas is the use of elves. So in this movie, the elves follow Krampus around. They're basically his main helpers in completing all of his duties. And the cool things about the elves in this movie is they all have their own names and their own design to their look. Probably one of my favorite supporting antagonists in this movie is the Der Clown. The design of this monster is just unbelievable to me. It begins as a small jack-in-the-box and matures into this huge monstrous being that just swallows kids whole. And in my opinion, it's one of the creepiest of Krampus's helpers. And then next up are the gingerbread men. And these little gingerbread men are feisty and they're crazy fast. And the coolest thing about them is the fact that they learn to use what's at their disposal. They learn to use the tools around them and create weapons. They sharpen candy canes and they learn to use the nail gun to attack the adults. But ultimately they are just cookies and they weren't too difficult to fight off. And lastly, I want to mention these as a group, sort of because they seem to work great as a team. This would be Tick-Tock, Teddy Claw, and Perchta. So Tick-Tock is a robot with a knife as an arm. Teddy Claw is a teddy bear with razor-sharp teeth. And Perchta is a cherub, but with a weird tongue. And essentially, these are just more of Santa's helpers to help slow the adults down so that they can get to the kids. And an interesting part of the movie is definitely the idea of the snowmen. While peering outside, Max sees a snowman that was built in their front yard. And he asks, but who built it? Because someone else put it there. And more snowmen appear in the yard as more people get taken throughout the movie. And later, after Howie Jr. is taken, Howard sees the snowman in the yard and goes, Howie? Now, the movie doesn't outwardly say that the snowmen represent the people that Krampus had taken, but it is implied if you follow the number of snowmen and from Howard recognizing the one snowman as Howie. One theory I'd like to discuss is the theory of the other houses. Earlier in the movie, Tom and Howard were visiting Beth's boyfriend's house, which was completely destroyed and completely ransacked. Like I said before, there was a gingerbread that was stabbed into a refrigerator. The fireplace was completely busted, and there were hoof prints in the snow. And this makes me question, did this happen to other families in the neighborhood before it happened to the main family? Or is this just an illusion to foreshadow what will inevitably happen to the family? And this brings me to the theory of the ending. And at the end of the movie, Max peers out of his window, the storm is cleared, and the other houses are lit up for the holiday, as if nothing had happened. Earlier in the movie, though, the mom says that all of the neighbors are on vacation, so why are the lights on? Anyways, the biggest part of the end for me is after Max discovers the gift of the bell. Omi immediately clocks this bell, and she's like, dude, what did you do? And in the audio in the background are all of these things that the characters have said earlier in the movie. So this is like the family is remembering everything that had happened the night before. But this makes me wonder if this was just a punishment for Max, or if now this was a punishment for the entire family. After the family's confused and they're piecing together all of these things, the camera zooms out, goes through the window, and views the house through a snow globe. And there's also an alternate ending on the DVD where the family doesn't seem to even notice the bell, and they don't seem to remember what happened the night before, but only Omi notices it and looks at Max and is like, eh. And then that's it. And this makes me think of a few possible scenarios. Either the family is inside of the snow globe and is stuck with each other in there forever, or the family is just being watched by Krampus through the snow globe. Some people believe that they are trapped in there forever to relive a nice Christmas day together day after day. And this is especially because on this scene they decide to use like a dreamy filter that usually people might use on like a dream sequence or a flashback scene. But I lean more towards the theory that Krampus is just watching them through the snow globe, because the point of the bell is to be left as a reminder as you continue through life. And after reading a little bit online, I discovered that there's a Krampus comic. I didn't know that there was a Krampus comic. Now I want to go check that out. And these comics seem to reveal that the purpose of the snow globes is just so Krampus can keep an eye on the families and make sure that they've learned their lesson. And I mean, if people on Reddit say it, then it must be true, right? I just love movies with ambiguous endings, so I love this movie so much. But I think you should go watch it yourself, and you can decide which theory you think fits best. If you like this video, show it. I try to make silly little videos like this once in a while. I haven't in a while, but I like to make film reviews and other kind of videos. If you got to this point of the video, thank you for watching, and have a happy holidays!